Welcome back to Legacy Contracts, and if this is your first time here, we're glad you found us. This channel exists for attorneys who sense that something beneath the surface of their firm isn't quite working, even if it's hard to name. Here, we look beyond surface-level efficiency and into the invisible systems shaping how your firm operates, serves clients, and sustains growth. Through practical insight and honest conversation, we help bring clarity to what's often overlooked, so you can lead with intention, not assumption. If you're interested in building a law firm that's not just functional, but thoughtfully designed, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Intake is often treated as a formality, a necessary step before the real work begins. But in reality, intake is the first decision that shapes the entire lifecycle of a case. Not legally, operationally, and most firms don't realize how much is already being decided before a file is ever opened. Why intake is not administrative? Intake isn't about collecting information. It's about how trust is established, how expectations are set, and how work is framed before it ever reaches an attorney's desk. When intake is slow, unclear, or inconsistent, it sends a signal, not just to clients, but internally, about what matters, what's urgent, and who owns what. And that signal carries forward into client communication, case pacing, billing conversations, and ultimately, client satisfaction. How firms end up with fragile intake systems? Most intake systems aren't designed. They're inherited, built around availability, memory, or whoever happened to be free at the time. Over time, this creates a system that technically functions, but introduces invisible risk, missed follow-ups, inconsistent responses, unclear ownership, and a growing reliance on urgency to compensate for lack of structure. When urgency becomes the default, intake stops being a system and becomes a scramble. The client experience no one talks about. Clients don't experience intake as a process. They experience it as a feeling. Do I feel seen? Do I feel guided? Do I feel confident handing this over? When intake is unclear, clients feel it immediately, even if they can't name why. And here's the important part. Trust isn't built during litigation. It's built during the first contact. Why responsiveness isn't the same as structure. Many firms try to fix intake by responding faster. But responsiveness without structure just accelerates chaos. A strong intake system defines ownership, sets expectations clearly, creates consistency regardless of volume, and removes the need for constant escalation. That's what actually protects attorney bandwidth. What to rethink? If intake feels heavy, disorganized, or stressful, it's not because your firm is failing. It's because intake is being asked to do too much, without being treated as strategic. The question isn't, how do we respond faster? It's, what is our intake system teaching clients and staff about how this firm operates? Before strategy, before filings, before billing, there is intake, and the firms that take it seriously don't just convert better, they operate with more clarity across the board. We hope today's insight helped bring clarity to something that may have been operating quietly in the background of your firm. Progress doesn't always start with doing more, it often starts with seeing more clearly. Law firms aren't built overnight. They're shaped by the decisions you make once the invisible becomes visible. This is Legacy Contracts. Until next time, keep leading with clarity.